Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and in today's video we are going to be talking about one of the most important exercises you can be doing for your shoulder health. It's one that we have in the Shoulder Fix program. It's one that people do at the gym, and it's also one that people are afraid of doing because they're not really sure exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And then there are people who are doing the exercise wrong and then ending up hurting themselves. So we're going to be talking about today the dumbbell row. So let's look at the dumbbell row just in its basic form. So we're going to do this here with one hand on the bench, one knee on the bench. I'm going to keep things lined up so I'm stacked on top of my supports. So I don't want to have my hand way out here. I don't want to have my knee kind of way behind me. I just want to make sure everything is lined up so I can put weight down and I feel supported. The other leg I'm just going to have out to the side. Again, I don't need it way the heck out here. I just want to keep it like right there and I'm good to go. Okay, so then I'm going to take a weight. I'm just going to grab the lighter one right now. If you're just starting out, it's a good idea to keep it on the bench for yourself when you start. Getting down to the floor is okay as you get better at this, but when you first start, not such a good idea. Okay, so we keep it on the bench, pick it up, move it out here, and then we're just going to pull up like this. The metaphor I've used for this motion is no longer applicable in the 21st century, but if you are older and like me had to start a lawnmower with a pull cord, that's pretty much the motion you're practicing. For the rest of you who are under 30 years old and have never seen a lawnmower that started that way, you probably also have never seen a lawnmower. So anyway, we're gonna take the dumbbell and we're just rowing up like this. A couple things to look out for here. We wanna make sure the spine is straight so we're not going into this big curve here. We also want to make sure that when we're pulling, we're not shrugging the shoulder up towards the ear. If you shrug up towards the ear, you're going to end up training a bad motion. You're going to strain your neck and you could possibly strain your shoulder. So it's really handy to have somebody watch you while you're doing this or take a video to make sure you're not going into a bad position on this. Okay, the other thing to think about is with the shoulder blade, we don't want to let it drag down too much. So if you're coming down like that, not such a good thing. We want to keep that shoulder blade stable as we pull up. So then you may be asking yourself, well, why is this such a useful exercise? Well, this is a useful exercise because you're training the shoulder blades to be able to stabilize in a good position and not get dragged around when you're doing stuff. So having the weight forces the shoulder blade to work really hard against some sort of challenging force. So once you get good at dealing with weight, it's a lot easier to maintain better shoulder position when you go through the day. Since you're practicing it with a good spinal position, you're practicing with good posture, you are ending up training your body to maintain good posture, hold the shoulders in place against extra challenge. When you then stand up, is that hard? No, it's much easier because you've already been doing things that keep the shoulder in a better spot. One major question people have with the dumbbell row is what they should be doing with the shoulder blade. So when you're thinking about the shoulder blades, your shoulder blades are able to protract like this. They're able to allow me to do this reach forward. So when I'm doing the dumbbell row, people are wondering, well, should I allow my shoulder blade to go into protraction like that while I'm doing the exercise? So my answer to that is, in the beginning, no. So a lot of people that we work with are pretty deconditioned. We have clients who are working at a computer all day, and particularly with the right side, which is your mouse hand. It's just the side that tends to be more protracted. When you are doing the dumbbell row, you really don't need any help letting your shoulder get dragged down. You're practicing that day in and day out for, ugh, gross, that feels terrible. You're practicing that day in, day out for hours and hours and hours at a time while you're mousing around and clicking. So when you are first starting to train and you're first starting to use weight in the dumbbell row, you want to make sure that you're practicing keeping the shoulder blade in position and not allowing it to sag down. As you get better at this exercise, as you get better control over your shoulder, as you get better strength there, that's fine to allow for that protraction. But you don't really want to be practicing it right from the beginning if you're already good at protraction. You really need to work on getting that retraction piece. So Related to that, for some people, if it's a little bit tough to even get the row, sometimes you may just need to practice getting the retraction like this and just stabilizing that retraction. So this is a little kind of warm-up slash extra exercise that you could do to just get used to pulling the shoulder blade back rather than allowing that shrug or getting stuck in that droop. Okay, so for people who are already pretty good at maintaining the shoulder blade position, picking up off the floor, which I had talked about earlier, should be fine. The reason I told you not to do this in the beginning when you're first starting is because the tendency is going to be to come down and then reach like this, which puts your shoulder blade into protraction and makes it a lot easier for you to hurt your shoulder when you start to yank this up, which a lot of people will do. So you want to be safe, you want to keep that shoulder blade retracted and then grab it, right? It's in that fully extended position where most of us are going to find our shoulders are not that strong and can possibly get strained. So we can keep the shoulder blade back if we're going to come down like that. Over time, as you develop strength in a protracted position, it's probably not that big of a deal. It's not like it's going to kill you automatically, but you just need to make sure that your body is trained and prepared to do that, okay? So one of the final questions that people ask a lot about with the dumbbell row is how much weight they should be using. And the answer to that is extremely variable. So if you're just starting, start off light, right? So if that means you're starting off with 10 pounds, that means you're starting off with 10 pounds. Get the form down correctly. If you can do 30 pounds right off the bat, fantastic, go for it. But just make sure your form is correct and on point. In terms of a number to shoot for the male clients that I've worked with who are not trying to be, power lifters, competitive strength athletes, they're not trying to be bodybuilders, shooting for around 50 to 60 pounds for sets of 10 is pretty reasonable. It's not an outlandish goal for most guys. And if you're taller and bigger, then obviously you can shoot higher. For women, it tends to be around like 25, 30 pounds for sets of 10, where I see women get to reasonably easily without feeling like they have to be downing protein powder and training 7 times a week or anything like that. So if you're looking for just an arbitrary number to kind of shoot for, those seem to be in the range for most people. I do find some women can go up to like 35, 40 pound dumbbell rows just training once or twice a week. That is not the norm though, so I wouldn't suggest that that's what you aim for. But keep in mind that your genetics, the way your muscles respond to training can really highly vary. So you just need to be sensitive to what your body can do. And just don't push it to do more just because you've heard some other number is appropriate for you. Just work gradually and just progressively bump the weight up and you should be fine. So that's it for the dumbbell row, guys. If you are just a beginner with this, I would suggest going with 3 sets of between 8 and 15 repetitions. If you're going towards the higher end of the repetition range, use a lower weight so that you're not losing good form as you go through. And if you are finding that you're starting at that lower range and that's as much as you can do with good form, that's fine. Then progress it gradually week by week to increase the number of reps until you hit 15, and then you can come back down to 8 reps and bump the weight up, right? So for example, if I'm starting off, I'm doing 15 pounds 15 times, 3 sets of 15, then next week, maybe what I want to try to do is bump the weight up to 20 pounds and maybe I'll do 3 sets of 8 instead. Okay, so you just want to play around with the reps and sets to give yourself a little extra challenge without blowing yourself out and making yourself do too much too fast, okay? So just adjust, gradually bump up the reps. Then once you get to that higher end of reps to around 15, you can drop that down to 8 and then bump the weight up. Okay, so I hope that helps you program that. If you want a program to help you troubleshoot your shoulders and give you a nice template to follow, check out the Shoulder Fix. It'll help you out a lot. Be sure to like us on Facebook. You will find the link in the description. And remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and comment. And don't forget to subscribe.